Hey YouTube, it's me, BrandonColonel. Um, this is a late night review for me. Well, not exactly a review, more just kind of like an after extended use review, I guess, on the ZT0770CF. Now, it really turned into an after use review for me because that's not what I was intending to do. Um, what I was actually wanting to do was do a sharpening video tonight showing you like the in-depth process of how I sharpen a pocket knife, or basically just any knife in general. Um, I mean, sure, my bigger chopping knives, like say the Combat Ranger, which is somewhere else right now. Yeah, don't really have it handy, but sure that I may sharpen with different stones and at a different angle, but generally I do it the exact same way. Um, but pocket knives is pretty much the exact same way all the way across the board. And so what I was going to do is I was going to take this knife and get it really dull to the point where it basically wouldn't even cut paper anymore. And so I got like 9 boxes because we just recently moved back into my house. Um, the water damage, as I think I said it in another video, or at least in a comment section to the guy that actually asked me about the katana cutting test. Um, I was displaced from my house for about a month because of my hot water heater breaking. And so we just recently moved back in within like the past week or so. And so now we have all kinds of boxes. And now that I can't test my knives at work anymore, then I figured what better opportunity to continue doing cardboard box cutting tests with my knives than to take as many of these boxes as I can and then just test some knives out on them. So I've got like 20 boxes, and I probably went through about 9 or 10 of them. And let me show you the aftermath real quick. That is a lot of boxes, and mind you, I've actually even cleaned up some of them. So yeah, there's a lot there. There is quite a bit. And let me get a piece of paper real quick, because this is actually why it turned into not a sharpening video, but an after use video. About 10 boxes. This is the average size of every single piece that I cut off. 10 boxes, this size. Yeah, well, this is actually the average size. The smaller the box got, the more it would get. But you see how it's actually doubled up right here? It was still cut cleanly through that. I mean, that last little bit was just user error. I mean, seriously. And people are saying that ZT's heat treat on Elmax is poor. It may not be the best, but you can't really say that this is terrible. Again, user error. There's not a single tooth on this thing anywhere. I'm just really tired, which is why I'm getting so many mistakes on this. There's not a single tooth anywhere on here for it to make that kind of a jagged edge. It is still an incredibly smooth cut, and it is still one of the smoothest knives that I have, even after like 10 boxes later. I was not expecting this. And seriously, I was just cutting furiously with this thing, saying it's gotta dull sometime. This thing has gotta dull sometime. Honestly, I think that I went through about 6 months worth of use on my knives. Well, this knife at least. I probably went through about 6 months worth of use. If I carry this thing for the rest of my life, I'm not entirely sure that I'll ever actually have to sharpen it again unless I just want to put a polish back on it. Otherwise, I don't think that I will ever have to sharpen this thing again, quite honestly. I mean, seriously, that sharp, like 9 to 10 boxes later, I don't even know how much time I'm going to have to put into this just to dull it. I mean, seriously, I may actually have to go on to another knife and dull that one, because I do want to show you how I sharpen my knives from incredibly dull and then get them all the way up to incredibly sharp, which is basically the point where this thing is still at. I mean, seriously, I haven't even completely lost my polish on this thing, honestly. And I mean, seriously, with how fast I was cutting, and just at how much cardboard I was running through, no joke, the blade actually got hot to the touch. I mean, if I wrapped my hand around it like this, then my hand would have burned. It was getting hot. It uh, I was running through it incredibly fast, and I haven't even lost my polish yet. So yeah, anybody who says that ZT's steel is horrible, or at least their Elmax is terrible, you might want to punch them in the face for lying to you if that's what's been keeping you back from buying basically any ZT blade with Elmax. Let me see if I've still got my other ZT on here somewhere. Yeah, I thought I had it on my bed still. Well, maybe not. Either way, ZT Elmax is not terrible. It may not be the best on the market, granted, but then again, I haven't exactly had any dealings with properly heat-treated Elmax, I guess. But I can guarantee you this is not exactly terrible. Like I said, 10 boxes of cardboard. This, it may not exactly look like the thickest cardboard on the market, but seriously, this is some tough stuff. I don't know what Servpro does to it or whatever company they do to make it. Whatever company they have make it, I don't know. But one thing is for sure, for whatever reason, this is some of the toughest cardboard I've ever tried to cut before. Besides the drink boxes at McDonald's, which honestly, those are like 5 times thicker than this. Anything that's that thick it's going to offer quite a bit of resistance. But that's some of the toughest cardboard that I've ever cut, at least at that thickness. This thing is gliding through it, almost no resistance at certain parts. I mean, at certain angles it did offer a little bit more resistance, but that's just the nature of cardboard. But even then, it's just going through it like it's not even there. I was not expecting that for any reason. There was nothing that I could have expected like that. I mean, I've actually broken down entire boxes like this before. Probably went through about 3, maybe 4 boxes, and the knife was pretty dull. It wouldn't completely cut paper anymore. Like it was more a jagged cut. It would still cut clean through it, but it was a pretty jagged cut. And like you know how when you actually do cut it and it didn't just tear the paper, but you look at the edge and it does have a little bit toothier mark on it. That's the way that typically what happens after 2 boxes on a regular knife that I have, like just your standard Kershaw um, with 8CR13 MOV. After about 2 boxes, typically, it's starting to make that toothy cut, about 3 to 4, and it's actually getting dull. 10 boxes in. Not even toothy. I mean, seriously. Are you kidding me? And people are still thinking that ZT's heat treat is incredibly poor on Elmax. They're idiots if they think that, honestly. But also, just from cutting that much, I can tell you how comfortable this thing is. The jimping is really effective. You never really lose purchase on that. It's not irritating at all, but it's incredibly highly effective. Although down here, I did notice that it got a little annoying. Not annoying enough that I had to stop cutting, but particularly right here. There's just something about right here that did get a little more annoying. That was probably the most annoying spot. But it wasn't enough to make me just have to stop cutting completely. But yeah, that did get a little annoying because it's kind of sharp. Like, just run your finger across it a couple times and you'll see what I mean. It's kind of sharp. Lockup is still terrific. There's no blade play, which I haven't even touched this at all. Haven't stropped it. I haven't tightened up anything. The only thing that I've done is I've cleaned off the tape residue. Which, interesting thing, if you've got a lot of tape residue on your knife and it just doesn't want to come off for any reason, find smooth peanut butter, rub a thin layer on it, like a thin enough, like it has to be thick enough that you can't see the steel wherever it's at, like wherever the tape residue is at. Just rub a thick enough layer on it that you can't see the steel, but thin enough that you're not just using a crazy obscene amount of peanut butter. Excuse me. And then just let it sit for about a minute, maybe two, so that way the oil of the peanut butter can get into the residue. And then take any kind of paper towel and just rub it off. You kind of rub the peanut butter into it a little bit as well. Once you get to the point where you're rubbing it off, rub it into it a little bit and kind of use the peanut butter as an abrasive. Because honestly, that's basically what it is. The oil will actually loosen the residue, and then rubbing it off, the abrasiveness of peanut butter will actually take off the rest of it. If there's any residue still left, you can either just scratch it off or do a second coat. But yeah, terrific results. Your blade actually looks clean when it all gets off, but I still rub some soap and water on it just that way the oil from the peanut butter doesn't mold on there or anything, doesn't go bad. But yeah, overall, I am thoroughly impressed with this thing. That much cutting, and I still have not yet lost my polish. Like I said, I will definitely be doing a full sharpening review. Well, not review, but a full sharpening demonstration. But it probably won't be on this thing. I am thoroughly impressed with this, though. Yeah, so I may have to go with one of my other knives, and I may just find a quicker way to dull it. But this I'm going to do some more testing on myself, just cutting random stuff and seeing how well it does. So that's really about it. And cut it off here at about almost 15 minutes. And as usual, YouTube, stay safe.